Good morning, guys. I just wanted to go ahead and start my presentation off with a disclaimer by saying that the following content is specific to the interviewee and does not reflect my personal views on the reality of the life of an immigrant in the United States. I interviewed Luis Puyol Sanchez de Leon. He is a 19-year-old from Spain, and he lived in Spain up until 2 years ago when he decided to come to the U.S. for college. He currently attends the Georgia Institute of Technology in Atlanta, Georgia. When asked about his major differences in education between Spain and the U.S., he mentioned that he's an industrial engineering major and that the courses varied based on whether he was in Spain or in the U.S. For instance, in Spain, that there are more technical classes such as physics, and they are just more career-based classes for his future career, and that in the U.S., there's a wider variety of preference-based classes where he's able to pursue other things that he's more passionate about that aren't just specific to his career, such as business, accounting, and economics. He also emphasized the wide variety of opportunities there are here in the U.S., such as internships and co-ops, and that it wasn't even a concept for him before in Spain, and that now he has a summer internship. Luis is in the United States on an F1 visa. In the U.S., the F visas are the type of non-immigrant student visas, and they allow foreigners to pursue education in the United States. F1 students must maintain a full course of study. Luis mentioned that the F1 visa was not a struggle to obtain, yet it was a tad bit of a lengthy process. In reference to the transition from Spain to America, he obviously talked about how he misses his friends and his family, but he also emphasized how he misses the authenticity of food back home and how the food here will never be as good as the food back home. He also talked about the language barrier and how English will never be his first language, so it gets really easy for him to get lost in high-paced classes and conversations. Furthermore, he started to talk about the more positive things in the transition from Spain to America. He describes it as an overall welcoming experience. When asked about any personal experiences of discrimination, he said he's yet to experience any, and if anything, he feels as if he receives more praise and more friendships from the fact that he is international, for people who are very interested in his life and learning more about him. At Georgia Tech, he joined a brotherhood. He joined the frat Pike. And there he said he made many lifelong connections despite any language barriers and despite any differences in race and ethnicity. He said that his only issue in representation of his country is that sometimes people confuse him from being from South America, especially Mexico, and he constantly finds himself standing up for where he actually is from because it does mean a lot to him. As we all know after reading Behold the Dreamers, it is the depiction of the immigrant reality through economic inequity, classism, and racism. However, Luis's experiences depict those of sentimental issues such as things he leaves behind in Spain, such as his friends, his family, and his favorite foods. But we also need to take into account for the difference in times. For Behold the Dreamers takes place during the 2008 financial crisis, while Luis came here 2 years ago in 2019. So there are different challenges faced based off the circumstances. Suresh and Nani's experiences were negatively connotated because it's a different story, different circumstances, talking about a family pursuing a visa and the struggles it takes to get there, just the struggles it takes to achieve the American dream. While Luis's experiences are positively connotated in saying that he feels welcomed into America, for his visa is already permitted and he's not, he didn't come here with family. He came here independently and started a life on his own. Well, yes, they're both immigrants. There are just different circumstances that allow for different challenges. In reference to Susan Choi's The Foreign Student, we also talk about the difference in time periods. For The Foreign Student writes about the Korean War and filling in the gaps of history, while Once again, Lewis's more current day issues that refer to his challenges. However, Lewis's experiences in the U.S. better align with those of the foreign student due to the unity despite of cultural, racial, and national differences. There is the common trend of a language barrier between Lewis's experience and those of the foreign student. Chuck lacks knowledge of English, and that puts a wall between him and his peers, of course, until Catherine. But the foreign student depicts the healing power of shared trauma despite any cultural, racial, and national differences. And like I said before, Lewis's experiences do seem to be positive despite any differences in his cultural or racial. After interviewing with Lewis and reflecting upon the previous 3 novels we read in this course, it is apparent that the challenges of this issue vary dependent on circumstances and other external variables, just such as time period and those that surround you. However, through each novel, it also grew apparent that equality in the American dream does not exist, whether that be for the immigrant or just any national or race differences. It does not seem to exist. Lewis's interview and his personal experiences did seem to contradict this, but this also goes back to my point of challenges varying depending on circumstances. Personally, I believe that challenges will continue to persist. Thank you guys for listening to my presentation. Hope you guys enjoyed, and now I will take questions.